and going through our collection. So I think first I'm going to ask you to open this box. Okay. And so it is. It has our catalog and all the other papers that we've brought from the archives.
I wish there was a table.
You want a little more space? Then I can put this aside.
Have a table to keep something and then open it up comfortably and properly.
So not have to bend down.
Not have to bend down.
Okay.
You know, and the object has a proper space. Otherwise, you'll have to keep all of these things on the floor, and then we would not have that. On the floor.
So for now, would it be comfortable if you pull the chair?
Yeah, I can do that.
Sure.
Okay, fine.
We are not in a formal setup. We are here to learn from you and hear
No,
you.
because then I can even ask a gallery guy, and he can arrange for a table for you.
Oh, so no, we're going to try new different experiments on different days. So right now, also we had expected a long table from the organizers.
Yeah.
It didn't happen, so we did this. So there are logistical things.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. No, that's fine. That's fine. Okay. But these are all new records.
Yes, this is a new catalog which describes the objects that we've brought to the exhibition.
Okay. Any reason for keeping it in the manner it is at the moment?
So these are the folders that we found in the collection when we opened. So the folder is from the archives, and the paper is a new catalog. Yeah, so it's to give you a sense of how we found the papers and folders when we first opened them.
Okay.
This is
So this
how
is in a very good condition. So it's in a very pristine condition.
the folder, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. How old must be the folder?
Easily, so we're looking at records from 1900s, early 1900s and late 1800s. So,
That's amazing.
yes,
That's great.
that paper is of course very new.
So this is mostly paper related objects
Yes.
that I'm looking at. And is there a kind of formula or a scheme that you're following while segregating the documents?
Yes. So, because as of now we're in the first stage of listing it. So as and when it comes out, and then we are first there are a lot of old pins and all that. So first it gets cleaned, and then we remove the old pins and whatever adhesives or anything that is there, and then they're being numbered, listed, and then transferred into folders of this sort. So we are moving. When we found them, they were in cloth bundles.
Okay. So now this folder has fungus.
Oh, okay.
I would rather not open it.
Okay.
I think
Let
I'll
me take a
again
look
wash
at.
my hands and wear the gloves.
Sure, and
open
then
it.
open it. Yeah, okay. All right.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, sure.
Thank you.
So the Viva, just to give you guys a context, Deepshikha is a few fabrics. So they wanted to meet each other. So we moved that meeting from an office to here. So that and it's working on because then Deepshikha is looking at the larger archive as well. So it's interesting how the conversation has extended a little.
So I need to ask her where she, to help us identify.
What are the ways to know
That there is fungus, yeah. Me. Hi. Hello.
Do you have an extra paper?
Yes, there are ample there. I think I've put them down there. So, I think once you have your gloves on, let us know how do you identify that these new folders have.
That you see.
Okay.
Yeah. So these are indicators of having fungus.
Oh, okay.
So this mold growth then kind of transfers from one to the other. See, it's very heavily infested.
Oh, okay.
So anything and everything that you put in there becomes now susceptible to getting fungus.
Getting fungus, okay. So we will need to change these
You
now.
have to change these. You have to take them out.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah, okay.
I'm glad at least that some of them
these-
are in plastic within.
So all our material is in plastic.
So which is a saving grace, and let's hope that it hasn't kind of come in touch with this.
Right.
But even when you are handling things like this, it's not good for your health also. Because the fungus can enter through your skin pores also
right.
and breathe as well.
Right.
So it can lead to health complications.
Right, correct.
So yeah.
So this is like fresh lot, so we'll have to be careful of what we procure from outside and then use it.
As compared to that one, this is in a much
Of course,
better
because that's
state.
from the collection and this is...
Yeah.
So even when we buy from outside, it might look like new and fresh pieces.
Absolutely.
But they first should be treated.
You shouldn't buy it.
That is there, but
Yeah, you shouldn't buy in the first. You should see what you're buying.
that's there. But I also have a feeling that it might have happened once it comes into our space. Or is it not possible?
That is also possible, but then you have to be aware of the kind of conditions in which you are storing and keeping it. And again, you have to be aware of the materials that you are buying.
Right.
Something like this would always be very susceptible to fungus, and this is very highly acidic in nature.
Yes.
And you've got like old documents which are probably already very acidic, and things like photographs and all. You don't want them coming in contact with something like this.
So the normal board ones without the fabric on it are fine.
You should avoid the fabric because to put the fabric on, they would have used an adhesive. So you're giving food for the insects and mold growth for future. So avoid the fabric because you don't know what's gone in there.
So the red ones which we are using are without the fabric.
No, it's the same material. This is what's available in the market.
The red one also?
Red one, it's the same material. They're just color is different. And we initially when we went, we would have checked the lot, and then now we ask them to give us in lots. So this has never occurred to us that we will have to look at every piece that comes in. So that's something that we will now have to
Even
be sure.
when you receive it from some people, you have to be very careful. The first thing is to keep the objects in quarantine.
Okay.
It's like when we receive objects, we leave them aside, we don't just immediately mix it with the rest of the collection that's there in the studio.
Okay.
Because you don't know if it's infested with any insect or anything. Then you're making your entire collection susceptible by bringing in that one single object there and exposing your collection to that. So when people are even sharing with you and they are sending over, so are you observing whether any of those have any issues before you kind of put them all together?
That's so true. Yes, no.
So one needs to be very vigilant
Right.
of these facts.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And was there a reason for choosing these boxes? Is
Right
it
now
because
the
of the
reason
ease?
was ease of sending it across.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
also imagining the aesthetics of the space, that you wanted to give that sense of a room with similar. In an archive we would purchase, right? Because here we were not going to purchase ourselves.
Yeah.
Because these boxes have come from the archives themselves.
Yeah.
So we told them use cartons basically.
Your cartons again are very acidic in nature. So you are exposing the objects to a lot of acidity in the process. So those plastic boxes would be preferable.
This is what we have in Bhavnagar at our
Yeah,
archives.
yeah.
This was only for the exhibition that we have transferred it.
And
here.
another thing is that when you have something like this for transportation, tomorrow if there's any kind of water damage,
Spillage,
you know, I mean it will get affected your objects inside. There's nothing to safeguard the objects. So, I mean, whenever you are looking for materials to house something, you need to ensure, you know, that how will they provide safety to the contents within.
Right.
Because even when you're asking people to transport in these, are they ensuring that the boxes are full so that the contents don't move?
Yes.
Okay, which
So
is great.
all our boxes were well packed in terms of extra packaging
Yeah,
material,
yeah,
shape
yeah,
and all.
yeah,
Even
yeah.
from the water point of view, everybody had cellophane their boxes.
Okay,
So we spent,
from the
I
outside.
spent one day just removing all the plastic.
Yeah, yeah.
Of course, one is also in this moment and just sharing, but a lot of questions about so much of material getting consumed in trying to take care. So
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
most of us are feeling this conflict. I do speak for some of the archivists as well.
Yeah,
That we
yeah.
want to take care,
Yeah.
but then we feel that are we consuming too much material in trying to take care? We still did it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
everybody, and then what I've done right now is, because we don't want to consume more, in some of the closed boxes, you will see I've filled up all the packaging material. So I will reuse it when it goes back. So this conflict is very real in terms of how much we need to do in terms of keeping them well. And then even when you do it, you feel it's not enough. But yes, everything was packed well.
See, now I've come to realize that in India, you know, I mean, when we are abroad, everybody talks about like having acid-free containers, acid-free boxes, but in India it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Simple reason being, I mean, our environment is not built for that, and our storage spaces are not built for that. So if you have to work around it because you cannot take care of all those things, then you have to choose your materials wisely. And in that regard, I've gone back to using aluminum and steel trunks.
Okay.
So I even get small boxes made, and they're not that expensive, you'll realize. You know, customizing a small steel trunk or an aluminium trunk, you know, which is mostly inert. I mean, it's not that huge a cost, and it's so sturdy. And then it kind of saves from the insects because it's not organic, you know. So there's so many things there.
So I will also share with you what we have done in terms of understanding perhaps layers of protection, what we have tried. Same logic, because when we started off with Set Archive, I'm talking back in 2013, we looked for acid-free boxes, and it turns out CTS is way too expensive for a new archive and there's nobody else. So what we did was, starting from the outermost layer, that first is the building well equipped in terms of temperature and humidity control. I think I'm now repeating the same process at Bhavnagar as well. So you can give me one example, just imagine it's happening here. Then the storage system itself, so working with metal there, not wood, so that you're making it less susceptible to. And then inside that, could we go with cardboard? So while we know it is acidic, it's not that we don't know about it, but because here cardboard, but back in archives we use brown paper, because the drawings are so big that what else would you use used to wrap, because even in this case we still can put the legal documents inside plastic cellophane sheets.
So then you get Melanics on rolls, which is a polyester sheet. So that is very handy, and we use it all the time for everything. So you can use that polyester sheet.
Why don't you come sit?
So this side, we learned about the Melanics roll from Miri in
Yes.
the last conversation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Until then, we didn't know that you can buy this material
Roll
in bulk
and yeah.
and then cut it and make your own
Make
sleeves.
your own sleeves.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
But yeah, I think it's layering. Do you think that works in terms of as if you're wearing layers of clothes?
It always works. Like even if I'm putting my textiles in a steel box, I'll not just put it directly in there. I'll even have a layer of tie-back.
Okay.
I'll have a layer of Melanics at the bottom. Then I'll have my tie-back. And then I'll have another fabric cover also. Depending whether I need a silk or a cotton fabric, I'll have another fabric covering. And then I'll have the object inside. And tie-back is something that would help you with papers as well, because it helps regulate the humidity and it helps regulate the flow and exchange of moisture.
All right.
And it will save you from a lot of mold growth too. And something as simple as air circulation of your spaces.
Right.
It is because of
Very
the
basic
stagnant air.
yes.
Yeah. So now I'm in such a beautiful thing.
And it's with correct.
So probably you would have to treat this.
Retreat it, yes, because all this collection, what we had got is already fumigated by PCI. Just last month we got the inert toxic pest fumigation. Yes.
Okay.
So they were there in the chamber for 15 days. The fumigation was done, and then we pulled them out. And just for the exhibition, we moved them to new folders. And unfortunately, they are infested. So we'll do them.
Okay.
I think that's one more folder with some more paper objects, and
Yeah,
that's
but
the
then-
entire catalog.
Yeah,
But now
sorry.
that, no worries. Put it back.
So now before you
We'll
look
change
at
the-
these
yes.
lakhs,
Just back at the archives, I think now that Gigi has been advising us, but also we have our nitrile gloves and very cautious of changing them and ensuring that we don't touch our hair and our skin immediately before washing hands. Yes.
This is the first reason I tied up my hair.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to keep this box aside just one second, so that you can comfortably look at it. Thank you.
So with nitrile gloves, the advantage is that they last longer, and we can keep washing them and using them.
Yeah. So initially we were using latex gloves, and then we just procured nitrile gloves, and we realized the advantages of it, and even the comfort while working in our conditions.
Yeah. Actually, I thought we were only going to look at textiles, so I didn't get my gloves.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for textiles, you don't think that
I usually like to. That's why I said that I will wash my hands and I would rather see it.
I think the interest was to also show you the larger archive, which you would not get to see when you come to the office.
Of course.
Yeah. But now I'm also realizing that if the office is close by, some of these methods that you're talking about, if Agni wants to still look at them.
Yeah, because now that she's begun describing everything, and then she talks about how she stores materials, if in the second half it's convenient, then we may want to see if we can visit suits you depending on your
Just especially
schedule.
now, seeing the metal trunks and things like that.
And send you pictures. We
Okay.
are not prepared at the moment.
No worries, okay.
Because the
All right.
studio is quite full, you know.
Maybe some other time.
Yeah.
Certainly. We'll plan it and we'll do that.
This is actually the story. what
So
the-
that also has this in there.
This is an older
But we did
piece, but this has been fumigated.
Okay. But then somebody not clean and wipe the fungus after fumigation or even before that?
Not wipe it. We've just done dry cleaning because we are not
Did you
trained
kind
to
of
do.
use a vacuum cleaner and brush it and suck it in there?
No,
the
just
pores?
the brush that our team is trained to clean with.
So, what happens after they do the brushing?
They dry clean it, and then they do it in that brown paper. Place it in that, do the dry cleaning, and then place them in the folders.
So what happens is that when you're brushing it away, okay, the spores are flying away, and the floors can even regenerate if they have to.
Ah, okay.
So you're just kind of giving them maybe another home. So
Okay.
that's one of the reasons why we like to use the vacuum
Vacuum cleaner.
cleaners with the HEPA filters and all.
Okay.
So that when you're brushing, and if I hold my nozzle here, the
Right.
vacuum nozzle
Okay.
here,
So it just sucks
gets
it in.
lifted in there.
Ah,
Then it's not kind of moving around
in the environment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because eventually it's going to settle right there.
There, right.
Yeah.
Right.
And you
Okay.
don't want that happening.
Right. Okay.
So
So, but then once it has been fumigated, does it still need to be wiped clean?
you
after?
should. You should.
Okay.
There's no point having all because there still seems some residue on it.
Okay. All right.
So why live with the residue? That kind of a
Okay.
thing, and it can be cleaned.
Okay.
It can be cleaned.
Okay.
So they should. Because if you're in touch with Giri, so Giri will let you know. So
Sure.
just follow him down.
So basically, when you say wipe, you are talking about cleaning it with a damp cloth, or
No damp cloth.
yeah. So what
He'll
is
tell
wipe
you-
that you're referring to?
No. So with the cotton swab, you can roll a solvent on that. Yeah,
A solvent-based clean. That's why I'm
But
clarifying.
will these residues that are visible go away with?
Many a times they
They
do.
do. Okay.
They do.
Okay. All right.
They
Yeah.
do. And at least then you will not have because it still feels like there's something sitting on the surface.
Okay.
It will lift it better,
Ah, right. Okay.
Yeah. So you don't want that.
Yes. You're most welcome and join us in the conversation.
So that's Deepshikha, the Textile Conservator, and she's going through our objects and collection and also advising us. So we've invited her to advise us on the textiles that we have in our.
So it's more like a meeting shifted here.
So tell me, why have you kept this paper inside this folder? What was the reason?
Again, so just the way that catalog was in this folder to
Yeah.
bring it to the exhibition,
Yeah.
the kind of folders that were there in the collection and not just bring the new flap folders that we're using,
Okay, just for the experience.
just for the experience.
Okay. Because then if you look at the condition,
It is very fragile. Yes.
yeah. Because you are at some level encouraging handling here. And if you are encouraging handling, so then you need to ensure that it's stable to handle. So, and it's not that stable to handle.
So then we'll carry it back today.
Now enjoy the experience.
Now for the cloth, what would you want to do? Take off your gloves and wash again?
No, with his
Yeah.
hands inside actually.
Okay, all right.
So I'm fine. But then I would want someone to disinfect the chair for sure. So I'm going to put it against the wall so that nobody
sits on it.
Okay, and just make sure that somebody just
I'll
sprays.
wipe it after. Okay, sure.
So then first let's look at the heirloom from the family. These are 2 saris and a blouse, which you can first look at, and then we open the bundle because that again has folders. So here we need your advice of how do we preserve them, and then...
And this was still in this fabric when you opened up, or
No,
you
this is
brought it
a
out?
different fabric now. It's
Okay.
moved, so because this is my, again, the same era from, it must be early 1900s or late 1800s that my great-great-grandmother had these saris, and then they've been passed on
Yeah, yeah.
from generation to generation.
It's beautiful.
Is this embroidery or?
No, this is woven. So that is embroidery. So this is a sari.
Yes.
So what do you ideally want to do with it? You just want to kind of store it and keep it nicely, or what is the end purpose
At
of
the moment,
engaging?
yes.
Yeah.
So for at the moment, I would want to know how to store it and preserve it. But whenever we are doing an open house of the archival collection soon.
Yeah, yeah.
And so this is still a family, a part of the family's collection. But if we want to put it up in an exhibit,
Yeah.
then what would be the right way of doing it?
You see, even ideally now you should transfer it onto a roller.
Roller, okay.
Yeah, because wherever it's creased,
Ha.
you know, it's bound to kind of split from there in
Right.
time to come.
Ha.
And the only way to avoid that would be to put it on a roller.
Okay.
Because then there are no definitive creases and fold marks there,
Okay.
you know.
Okay.
So that should be done. That should be the first step that you do, even if you don't want to do anything else. Okay. Just rolling itself would help it tremendously.
So
And
is
then-
it sturdy enough to go through rolling was my...
Yeah, it looks
Yes.
fine. Yeah, it
Okay.
looks absolutely
Okay.
fine. I mean, I know it's coming off, but that was the edge.
Yes.
And otherwise, it looks absolutely fine.
Okay.
No problem. It will take rolling happily. So, you know, just flattening it and rolling it out.
And it's okay to get it done from a regular... What are the precautions that have to be taken, and where should we get it done?
See, if you have a big collection, okay, or if you think that a number of people can come together and do it together, then I can do a workshop for you guys. You know, you call like maybe 10 families or 20 families who are interested in something like this, and then I can spend like 3-4 days with you guys and let you know how to do it hands-on,
Oh, wonderful. Okay.
and then you guys do it yourself.
Oh, lovely. Okay.
So you don't have to go anywhere.
Nice. Sure.
So then you do it yourself. You know.
How old is this?
This is Ramaba sari, so early 1900s. My great-great-grandmother.
So it is.
More than 1
Yes.
And another thing is that when you are putting the textiles together, if you see that you don't put heavier textiles on the lighter ones,
Okay.
because then
The
it
weight.
starts crushing the weight. You know, the creases become more definitive. So one should avoid that completely
Okay.
altogether. And this is something, if you want to do it within your almirahs, if you don't want to kind of introduce rollers, then you need to segregate the shelves. Have smaller shelves. You know, have them just about like 4 inches.
The
or
same
5.
thing that we've done with the folders. We're trying to get this.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So that you're not stacking up too much.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Practical and
Yeah.
doable immediately.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then you're not stacking up too much one on top of the other. The weight gets distributed, it gets taken care of automatically. So these are the kind of solutions that you have to look for, very small things that you do. So beautiful. Mind if I take a picture?
Yeah, sure.
And apart from that, I mean, one could get it washed.
Okay.
Yeah. Dry cleaning usually weakens the fabrics, one doesn't realize that. But over a period of time, I've seen that textiles that have been dry cleaned a lot, their fabrics tend to become much weaker.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So
and if the colors are sturdy, it can take a nice wash.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But the thing to take care of would be, if it's weak, you can't just put it in a bucket and think of taking it out like that.
Yes.
You might have to create tables and wash table and tray and then wash it gently in there.
Right. Yeah. Sure.
Okay.
So I think so this cloth that you will look at later, that is what we tried to do.
Yeah.
So because we had to bring it here and we've still not met you, we asked Giri and he said you can try if you think it's sturdy enough.
Yeah.
So we created that huge tray and then just placed it there and just took it out of the water because it was very dusty and since the rest of things were fumigated, we thought we should take a clean cloth. So that's what we've tried. Yeah, I think saris will be more challenging, so we'll probably need more.
And then when you have the melamix, you can spread out the melamix below the sari.
Achha.
So that you don't lift the wet fabric up.
Okay.
On its own weight. Many a times when the fabric is wet, it tends to become heavier and weaker then, and more susceptible to splitting.
Okay. And since you talk about trunks, is it okay to get them old trunks rust-proofed and treated and used, or no? We should look at creating new.
When if you want to use the old trunks, see if somebody can do the ceramic coating on them.
Ceramic coating inside and okay.
If they can do that, then that's fine.
Okay. All right.
Otherwise, then you look for steel and aluminum trunks.
Yeah.
Just do that.
Yeah. Sure.
And then get them made of a certain width wherein you know what your average width of a sari is. And whatever the width of the sari is, ensure that you keep at least 2 inches on either ends so that when you're taking it out and pulling it and lifting it out and keeping it, you're not touching the actual sari, you're just handling the ruler.
Okay.
So it's about minimizing the handling.
Right.
Especially with the old pieces. Yeah. You just need to be careful. And if the folds haven't been changed, I mean, this is something that we all know. But how many of us really practice, I don't know.
Yeah, this was in possession of my aunt, and she's been changing it every few years. Change it.
But few years. That's why, I mean, one can see, there. Yeah. Very pretty. Okay.
This is not the news.
Yeah, she called to tell me that you're going to be here earlier than her, so welcome.
You should wash this as well.
Okay.
All these foxing marks, they may go.
Okay.
The foxing marks may go, and it's worth an attempt to do that.
Is this thread?
This is thread, this is woven. This is
woven
brocaded
thread
thread.
to the effect of-
Yeah, it's a brocaded thread. It's beautiful.
Parrots on this one, huh?
And because your older trunks, they used to have those iron trunks. And that's one of the reasons why we end up with so many iron stains. Even from the iron almirahs and all. And people used to put newspapers
Yeah.
and magazine sheets.
Yes.
You know?
Again, that would help.
Yeah. So if you layer it with fabrics, put a Melanex, put a fabric, and then you put this on top.
It's protected.
Yeah. It's just very gentle protection.
So are you saying that with water we'll be able to remove the stains or?
No, I mean it would need more than water. It would need an detergent. So a non-ionic detergent. But if you don't want to go in any of that, you could kind of look at Rita.
Just a Rita. Lovely. Okay.
You know, that is still safer
Okay.
than any of the other
All right.
available in the market. You know, because what we do is different.
And removing the
But-
mags would actually need a little bit of scrubbing or just with the Arita
You know,
on it?
it's very gentle.
Okay.
Yeah, and you'll not
Alright.
put the Rita on it. I mean, you'll
The
make
water.
a concoction. the water.
Of course, yeah. So it's
And very
just the way
light.
we do it with our detergent.
Yeah,
We do
yeah,
it with the Arita,
yeah.
and then
And then you have to ensure that all of it is kind of drained out from there.
yes, the
Okay.
froths and all that will have to be absolute water.
So this is like for your household objects, not
yes,
for museum.
yes.
Okay, because for museum also we use sapling, but then that's a very defined and refined form of sapling that we use. Okay, so Rita, I mean, sapling is derived
Yes,
from Rita,
yes.
so you can use that. And, so, because everybody has, I mean, every collection has like economical restraints. And, so one has to work within those things. So one has to look for solutions then
Correct.
within
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So just one of those things. Okay. See,
In the wheel, in the border, what are you saying?
this is a silk floss. Yeah, this is brocaded. This is a silk floss. It's beautiful. You should put that in there.
Yeah, and then the glove. You can
See now,
Ah.
for something like this, I would keep another fabric or a sheet of
Another-
paper in between,
Ah.
so that in case there are chances of dye transfer,
Okay. From one fabric to the other. Right.
so then that doesn't happen.
Should I right now bring butter paper which we are using? Is that okay?
But in future, don't use butter paper.
Tracing papers only?
Butter paper is not good.
Tracing papers.
Tracing papers.
Tracing paper.
That's better.
We use. Yes, we use
I
tracing paper.
keep talking butter paper for, I don't know why.
We were not sure in what better way to bring it here.
Ah.
So, because a lot of it might just come out.
Different also because I think from city to city,
Yes.
who is calling butter paper butter and tracing tracing
This
is
looks
what is
butter paper only.
This
Butter
is
paper
butter
has a certain shine to
Yeah,
it.
this
you
is
know.
butter paper.
This is
You
butter
know,
paper.
this
Yeah.
is tracing.
This is tracing.
So when we asked for tracing, we still keep getting this.
butter paper,
We
yeah.
keep getting this. So in
So
Ahmedabad,
then you
we're
have
very
to
clear.
tell them, yeah, कि वो शाइन के बिना वाला चाहिए. उनको बोलो कपड़े को रखने के लिए चाहिए, शाइन के बिना चाहिए.
Okay.
Yeah.
So right
when
now
you-
it's not good to put it, right?
Let's not keep it, okay? And since they've been together and there's no dye transfer that's happened, so we know that the dyes are stable.
These are stable, but we should watch out.
Yeah, we
for the
should
others.
watch out, you know, for sure.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So now the silk is completely shattering in this one, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. This needs treatment.
Treatment,
This
right?
needs treatment. Yeah. This needs treatment. But look at the waist. This is the waist. This is something that I have come across in historical textiles, you know. The waist has been unbelievable in some of the costumes. I mean, over a period, I mean, people have generally changed. They have. The general waist sizes were very different.
It's an evolutionary thing.
Yeah,
It seems
yeah,
like an evolutionary
yeah, yeah,
The bus sizes, I think, it was uniform
yeah,
change.
yes,
Because since I'm in garments, I've always noticed this.
yeah, yeah, right.
Smaller figures.
It's there.
It's almost feel like the body type has evolved.
It
The
has,
way we are
it
talking
has.
about becoming from chimpanzees to human. I think
Yeah.
within human also our body type is changing.
You know, for one of the mannequins, when I had to mount
Ah.
a certain costume for one of the Maharajas, I had to look at a teenager's bust.
Yes, so we had angarkhas in the house.
Yeah.
Such narrow shoulders, and I can't fit into them.
Yeah.
So at 12 and 13, I used to find it difficult. So even Ramaba's blouses and all that, somebody with a very small stature would only be able
Yeah.
to fit into.
It's
And then
like,
the
I think,
bangles.
beyond size 0.
And then the bangles also, the same
Yeah,
with
yeah,
them.
yeah.
That must be because of the food and the activity.
The lifestyle, or maybe, or yeah.
There must have been some activity.
I mean, it was-
The food must have been very controlled.
I do agree, but I think but at least we are studying as far as the context and geography part is concerned, coming from architecture. Food is also dependent on the geography. So I think it's the external factors first.
Which also
Yeah,
impact.
yeah.
If we leave aside the famous word climate change, something geographically and ecologically has been evolving which is affecting us.
But we are getting food from all over now.
That's the thing.
Definitely.
Local
Right.
foods, locally
Yes.
produced.
That's
Yeah,
true, but
yeah.
even where communities are still, because we meet a lot of communities in historic towns, they are eating what their ancestors were eating.
And yet-
still their bodies are different. Not to say heavier or lighter, I can't make that difference.
Yeah.
But still you can see the structure has changed. Because the same grain is now behaving differently in your body.
Yeah, because the kind of pesticides and all the
Exactly,
chemicals that have been
yes.
introduced into the food stream that weren't there earlier. So,
I think that it's a very large picture then. You talk about population, increase in population as well. And I was also thinking of something, even my mother, she was 90 when she passed away last year. Just that generation. Not khana khamka, but gaining weight.
the balance.
I used to skip a meal then, now what I am doing. I can't tell. She couldn't tell my sister that this meal. My cousin had the same experience with her. So her mother was very slim, very graceful. Be careful what you eat. I've noticed this with many families, at least in the Punjabi family, be careful what you gain weight. Normally they say, बच्चों को खाने दो. But as we grew older, as teenagers, we had a lot of that. And I think that has really stopped. Just on Sunday, I went for the first time in 2 years to a gathering. There must have been 30 people there. I couldn't recognize some of them there. And I was meeting twice a week, in yoga to recognize them because it gained so much weight.
That has happened.
So that was a big shock to me. And this is all from the yoga fraternity, sorority, I should say.
But what you just compared it, I could extend that because I distinctly remember as a teenager, grandmother asking me to eat, mother asking me to be careful. So what I eventually felt was that mom understands that the food is not the same or acting in your body
As
the same
before.
way. So she doesn't mean, when my grandmother says it's nutrition, so she doesn't mean you should not get nutrition, but measure or ration it a little bit because it's not acting the same way, and your grandmother who is in her 80s and 90s would not be able to see that, which we can see that your bodies are getting affected by what you eat. But it was not a very explained conversation.
Yeah.
So you would just see it as eat to or eat bol raha hai. But if it was explained or looked into, you would have understood how materials and weather and environment is affecting us. And I'm just bringing that up because I'm also realizing this, how much it must matter for conservation. Because for us at Pattani Archives, definitely conservation is only getting deeper and deeper the more we are doing it.
That always happens. The more you engage with the objects, the more you engage with the collection, you start understanding it better.
And And realize the last
we are
thing is
not able to
because
fit in.
again, the climate is something that is not
Yes.
in our control. So whatever decisions we are taking,
Yeah.
how does one see that it pans out for long?
Very well finished yarn.
You have to work towards sustainable approaches. That's the only way to move
Things
forward.
that you keep doing again and again, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah.
So it's not like a one-time effort. It's not like a one-time job. You have to keep revisiting
Oh,
it.
nice. Okay.
So Abhi, I think
No, I
this
haven't.
point is sorry
Yeah,
to interrupt,
sorry,
but this
yeah.
point is very crucial.
Huh.
I was just asking why I brought up the whole idea of environment and
Yeah.
ecology changing.
Yeah.
Because it's deepening our conservation efforts.
Correct. Yes.
I'm going to realize it for other archives also.
Yeah.
And how do we make sure that whatever we do will work for years, because that's something we can't anticipate. So what Deepshikha is suggesting is sustainability of the idea, which
Okay.
means that you keep revisiting it. So it's almost like
So it's not like you've done it and now it's yes.
No, it's
of
not
course,
like
never.
one-time job.
Yes. It's an ongoing.
It's an ongoing process. You know.
Right.
There's certain things might be like a one-time measure
Yeah.
that you do, like if you get the aluminium boxes and things like that. That's a one-time cost for you.
Correct.
But then how you maintain it, how
Maintenance. It's like you
revisit
have a
it.
tracker that this once it has happened and then now it will be.
Yeah. And you also
a
have to
tab of
see
it.
that it's easy to access, because if something that's not easy to access gets overlooked,
Yes.
you don't engage with it
Ah,
if it's not easy to access.
Right,
You know, you would
right.
avoid it.
right. Right.
So it's human behavior
right.
that also comes in play.
sorry, I missed that last part.
So whenever you are storing something, you have to ensure that it's also easy to access.
Oh yes, definitely.
Because if you yourself are not able to access it easily,
Then it's
forget the
good.
next.
I mean, that is
person.
what was happening till it was in our lofts. That is why we moved
Accessibility.
it from lofts
Yes.
to conservation
Yeah,
and preservation.
It's like out of sight, out of mind kind of a thing.
True.
Or once on Diwali.
Yeah.
Kind of.
That also doesn't always happen.
If you have the time and resources.
But something like this certainly needs attention, because the silk is completely shattering. You know? So this is quite fragmentary.
Right.
So again depends what you want to do with it. So can you see where it has creased? It has split.
Yes.
So this
basically
is
this area, yeah.
So this is what I was talking to kids the other day when they were talking. They were calling everything a tear. I said no, a tear is different from a split.
Right.
Because for a tear you need an external force
Correct.
to act on it.
Got it.
You know, but with the split it's because of internally it's so
The
weak.
folds and okay.
It's the structure is weak.
Okay.
That's why it's splitting.
Okay.
So on its own, you know. But what would you do if you got it conserved? What's the end use again?
I think with the way we're progressing, if we want to put it on an exhibit, is how I am looking at it right now.
Okay.
There is a possibility of the archive eventually expanding into having a
Museum space.
a more engaging one, but definitely a space where you don't always have to go through the access protocols, but you can see things and study about.
Okay. So there are two ways of addressing something like this. You know, if you think that nobody is going to engage or handle it, and if you just want to leave it as is, okay, then you take preventive conservation route.
Right.
Okay, because then you focus on the storage, you focus on minimal handling or wise handling, okay, and then you leave the object as is.
Okay.
Okay, but just kind of keep it in a better manner,
Right.
you know, in a better environment. Yeah. And if you say that you want to kind of display it on a mannequin, on a board or something, then we would say that okay, it's going to be on display for such a long period, then we need to conserve it. There also, we always discuss that if you want to just lay it flat, then again you don't need to do anything.
Correct. Yeah.
So there are ways of approaching every object,
Right.
you know, and again the financial implications
Yes.
and everything comes in. So there are ways of arriving at solutions. So
Yeah,
that's
of
a
course.
call that you guys will
We'll
have
have
to
to
take. Yeah.
before
Then
deciding.
what's the end purpose in the end, you know? That whether you just want to work with preventive conservation or you want to go into curative conservation, you know, and actually get the object conserved.
Right.
So wherein then we actually intervene with the object. So then we'll take care of all the splits and things and losses. Then we'll dye another fabric in the same thickness, weight, weave, and color,
Okay.
and insert it and then support it on that.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
and that's that. But to begin with, one thing that you can do for sure is take out the staple pins
Yes. Yeah.
and this bit of inscription that's there, if it's
Yeah.
important, you keep it in another bag and tag it.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay? Just keep it in another transparent bag with the object.
Yeah.
You let it be.
Yeah.
Okay? Because many a times then inscriptions are lost.
Yes.
And if people can read what's written, now is the time to get it deciphered.
Correct. Yeah.
Because many a times then people are not there any longer
decipher
to
it,
kind of decipher it.
Right.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
has been put by my aunt.
Oh, because it's been
What does it
stapled.
say?
That's just my name.
Oh, okay,
She's segregated it. So
Oh
now
my,
that
this
we-
is really fallen apart.
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
So this
Yes,
is
it
lining
has.
that we see?
Yeah, this is the lining at the bottom,
Yeah.
you know, because this is all coming out.
I couldn't figure out what it was.
Yeah. And then when you're putting things aside, any loose attachment that you come across, you put it
Goes along with
no,
it, yes.
let me not keep it with white. So as of now, because we are not engaging further, I'm going to put it back in
Yes,
there. Okay? But
that's
all
it.
these places that you see creased
Yes.
eventually will crack
tear.
and split. Okay?
So you're saying this sequin can also damage the white here if we put it along inside?
I mean, in case if it has tarnishing, then it can
okay.
leave that tarnishing mark there.
All right.
Or when the fabric is weak, the edges are sharp.
Okay.
So that can happen. You know? I'm going to put it back inside in the inner lining, okay?
Sure.
So it stays within.
Yes, it's isn't it?
Now this is a weaker textile. So you should place the weaker on the top.
Yeah.
So not below or in between any of those, otherwise it will get crushed.
Crushed. Sure. Okay. I think we'll put it back here and then.
So whenever you are using any of these old fabrics, ensure that they are washed,
And then
Okay.
used.
then used, and also see if you have to ensure they don't have any amount of starch, because many of these fabrics they come with a finishing of a starch. That's why they're kind of thoda sa guff. You have to de-starch them completely, because that starch itself is food for the insects and more.
Okay.
So you're just trying to eliminate all the food possibilities for the insects.
Okay. So now, within this cloth are the other folders. How would you? Maybe I'll wear a pair of gloves, get them out, and then you can look at the cloth.
Okay.
Yeah. Could you just pass me?
Yeah. So this is also not a good place to open our objects, you know.
Sister, is it okay if I move? Yeah. Please keep this back. So this is the cloth in which
The berries were kept.
yes, all the papers were found in multiple bundles like these. It has Bhavnagar Darbar stamped on it.
Yeah.
I have only 2 of these pieces with me now, and I would want to preserve it.
Yeah. Yeah. We should do that.
Yeah, so, and this, we don't understand. It has a border like this, which is different. Maybe it had
Yeah.
some significance.
Is it woven like that? Yeah, it's indeed only.
Handspun है.
This is handspun.
So we washed this once that way. We put it in a huge
What was
tray
written
and-
here? Did you take note of that before it was washed?
No, I can only read it now. It has some year written on it.
That would have been significant for this one.
I'm sure, yeah.
So you know, this is the thing with washing, that you have to
First,
see.
but we have
That
a
nothing
photograph
bleeds
of
or
it
anything.
before it was washed, so we could probably look at that,
Yeah,
and that
but
can
nice
come to our
to
rescue. Yeah, I understand.
Original.
Yeah, yeah.
But nice to have the original,
Original,
as
correct. Yes, sure.
Yeah. You know. So we should do that.
Yeah.
Okay. So now the spots that we see there, are they from the seals or what? Are
I'm
they
not sure
wax?
because we didn't see any seals of that sort which would have left these marks, because we removed folders
Yeah.
and papers from it.
Yeah.
In fact, a lot of them might have got degraded because we see a lot of new cloth, them having been shifted to new cloth when they moved from building to building.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they
this
would have kept
collection has
discarding.
traveled, so I'm not sure
Yeah.
what went
Yeah.
in between.
But okay, now this is worth conserving.
yes, yes.
This is certainly
Yes.
worth conserving.
Yes. We need one
So-
of it at least to be conserved.
Yeah, yeah. So we should do it properly. I mean, it's, yeah. Okay. So we should do this properly, and then we'll align the threads and everything,
Okay,
and we'll stitch it nicely
okay.
so that it just rests there.
Lovely.
Yeah.
So I think after the talk we can work out the logistics around it and see
Yeah.
how we can
This
hand
needs
it over to you.
conservation.
Yes.
This
Yeah.
needs conservation.
Yes.
This is worth
Yes,
conserving.
yes, absolutely.
So, like you said, that at least one of them you should have.
Should be conserved, yeah.
Okay. So this you guys recently washed.
Yes. Just before bringing it here because
Okay, let's avoid a fold in the damaged area. So let's avoid a fold there. So go from here. Yeah. Yeah. That's fine. Okay.
yes. So we're done with looking at all the
Perfect.
objects. Should I keep that away and
Yeah, if you want to keep it there, then at least take the fabric away and
Okay.
keep the fabric on top.
Fine.
Yeah. Maybe you want to keep the fabric separate.
yeah, sure. Okay.
Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you.
So much to learn. I'm already overwhelmed, I said.